welcome back to Life Enrichment with Hank Ballinger. Today I want to talk to you about that guy. I have a lot of people ask me all the time, how do I build wealth, or how do I set specific goals, and how do I reach those goals? I have a standard answer. It's very simple. You have to be that guy. But before we get into that today, I want to say I appreciate those who have watched the channel and have liked and subscribed to the channel. If you could, we ask that if at all possible, tell somebody else about the channel. We would really like to reach out and help as many people. The idea behind this channel is to be able to get the average person who's doing the average job. Maybe they're not doing the job they want to do in life. So what we would like to do is help them to be able to set goals and achieve those goals. So if you could help us to achieve that goal of helping others, tell others about the channel, like and subscribe the channel, and tell them to like and subscribe the channel, and share that with as many people as possible. We greatly appreciate it. Now, one day I was driving down the road and I got to thinking, you know, if somebody started building wealth, whatever endeavor they may want to get into to start that, just to get the ball rolling, I thought if somebody would just get started, then by the time the second generation come along, that snowball would be pretty big. And then if they just kept it going, it would get a lot bigger by the time they give it to the third generation. By the time you would get to the fourth, fifth generation, that snowball would be massive. And then I got to thinking, that would work, but I'm somebody. So maybe I am the somebody that needs to get it going. Maybe I need to be that guy. So that's exactly what I started out to do. I said, okay, well, what could I get into? I thought about different things I had done in my life. What have I done that I could do and build wealth? Maybe get out of the day-to-day grind. I was working in factories. Not that there's anything wrong with working in factories. And I've known a lot of great guys that worked in factories, super guys. But I wanted something better, something more that I could control. So I said, what could I do? So I started putting it on paper, things I had done, jobs I had done that I liked, and things I thought, well, I could do and get into this. So as I started looking at each job, there was some I marked off pretty quick because I didn't want to do them the rest of my life, or I didn't think I could do them to the level of building wealth. So I finally came to real estate. Now, growing up in my house with my dad could fix anything. So he would take us with him a lot of times on doing small jobs, electric and plumbing, and we would help him do things. So I kind of grew up with this. So I got to thinking I can fix stuff. So I kind of settled on apartments, and it worked for me. I knew I could go in and fix those apartments, fix them up, small things, flooring, paint, clean things, fix toilets. I knew I could do those things that a lot of people didn't want to do, but I could do, and it would help me if I did a lot of the labor myself. So that's what I did. Now, if you decide to be that guy, and you decide to set goals and achieve those goals, what will it cost? It will cost you time, it will cost you effort, and it will cost you a lot of thinking. You will have to plan this out. I've never known anybody to just become wealthy or to set goals and achieve those goals just on a whim. It doesn't happen. It won't happen. You've got to be very direct, very intentional, very specific. Now, there was a guy back in the 1800s, early 1900s, had an idea. He's going to make cars for the common man. And he did. And he set out and made cars that the common man could afford. His name was Henry Ford. Here's a famous quote from Henry Ford. He always would say, thinking is the hardest job there is. That's why so few people engage in it. Now, largely he was right. A lot of times if you get real specific on topics, maybe you like science. If you get real specific on science and you dive deep, it's hard to go to a party and get a lot of people at the party to talk to you about science, isn't it? Or if you're an insurance agent and you're really deep and you really love your job, when you go to that party, nobody at that party wants to talk to you about insurance, do they? But if you're going to set a goal and you're going to achieve that goal, though everybody else may not want to talk about it, you still need to dive deep and you need to find out everything you can about it so that you can be the best you can be at that. You got to be better than everybody else. Be better. So thinking, very, very instrumental in setting your goals and achieving your goals. Now, there's a book out called Think and Grow Rich by a fellow by the name of Napoleon Hill. Now, Napoleon Hill was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, and Andrew Carnegie said, I want to introduce you to the richest people in the world, and he did. And after meeting the richest people in the world, Napoleon Hill was then supposed to write a book on what made the richest people in the world at that day and time wealthy. And the book he came up with was Think and Grow Rich. Because that's what does it. It's the thinking process. Now, not that the working and doing doesn't make you wealthy, but you will make more money thinking than you ever will by working. And I know that doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound like that's the way it goes. But Napoleon Hill was not wrong when he wrote the book, Think and Grow Rich. A very important part. But remember, thinking is the hardest job there is. That's why so few people engage in it. But if you will think, if you will get very deep in the weeds, if you will go in and think harder than the other guy, you will probably do better than the other guy. Now, many times as people build wealth, one of the things they forget to do is they forget to teach their children. And you remember I told you earlier that if one generation built wealth, then if they got that snowball so big, then they could pass it on to their kids, and then it would be real easy for their kids to make that snowball bigger. That seems like that would be a great scenario, wouldn't it? And it would be if it worked all the time. But it only generally works about 15% of the time. Odd statistic. Everybody knows of Henry Ford. We still have the Ford automobile today. Everybody knows of Coca-Cola. Largely the same family still runs Coke. Walmart. The Walton family still runs Walmart. Vanderbilts have many companies today. They still have their hands in a lot. Rockefellers. These are families that have not only built wealth, but they have passed it on down to their kids, who have passed it on down to their kids, who have passed it on down to their kids. Now, it's not easy. And I want to give you a statistic from the book, The Millionaire Next Door. This statistic is 85% of all wealthy people in any generation, 85% of people that are wealthy today are first generation millionaires. Isn't that odd? You would think, well, what about the last generation when they handed that to their kids? Their kids could have taken it. It's pretty good size. Just expand on it. The problem is they don't teach their kids, or their kids maybe don't learn the lesson, and then they squander what they have been given. So not only do you have to give it to your kids, but you have to teach your kids how to respect it and take care of it and grow it. It's not as easy as it sounds. Remember, 85% of all wealthy people in any generation, 85% of whoever's wealthy today got it on their own. 85%. Only 15% got it from the previous generation. And a generation from now, that statistic will probably still be true, and a generation from then. So as you build wealth, be sure to teach your kids how to take that wealth and build on that wealth. Don't drop the ball. You have to teach your kids. Very important if you're going to help change their lives as much as you try to change your own life. Now, how do you become that guy? How are you that guy? Well, it'd be great if I could say, well, it's real easy. It's awesome. It's just a piece of cake. It's not. There's nothing easy about it. There is nothing easy about it. You're going to have to work weekends. You're going to have to work holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, when nobody else is working, when everybody else is off celebrating or having Christmas at someone's house. You're going to be working. You're going to be thinking. You're going to be planning. You're going to have to do the things that nobody else wants to do, because if you do what everybody else does, you will be as wealthy as everybody else is. One of the sayings I always say, and a lot of people have similar saying, quoted differently, I always say, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. Now, Einstein, he said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So if you're going to build wealth, you can't do it by doing the things you've always done. If the things you've always done would build wealth, you would be wealthy now. The fact that you're not wealthy now says the things that you have always done won't get you there. So you're going to have to plan on doing something different. You are going to have to work harder, longer, more effort. And just at the time that you think I can't do more, you're going to have to do more. It's not easy. You have to become that guy. If you can't be that guy, you cannot accomplish your goals. You can't set those goals and accomplish them if you can't be that guy. You must be, and you've got to get that in here. You can't get that in externally. You can read Think and Grow Rich. You can read Millionaire Next Door, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You can read any book. You can listen to any podcast. They will not help you if you can't be that guy here. Your why has to govern and dictate everything about you. Just like being a Christian. Being a Christian is not something you do, it's who you are. It's not just something you can do from time to time. It becomes who you are, and that's a Christian. Now, if you're going to become that guy, that's got to become who you are in here and who you are here. You got to think, and it's got to be you. You got to have that drive. You can't let anything stop you. You've got to be that guy. When an obstacle comes, and they will come, many of them, every time an obstacle comes, you realize I've got to go over that thing. I've got to go around it. I've got to go under it, or I've got to go directly through it. One way or another, you're going to end up on the other side of that obstacle. Whatever you have to do, you have to get to the other side of that obstacle, or you're not going to get to the finish line. You have to go over, under, around, or through those obstacles. And I don't care what they are. You've got to figure out a way. There's a series of about the richest people in the world back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, called The Men Who Built America. You could probably get it on your phone. Great series about some of the amazing men that were extremely wealthy in American history and made America really what it is. When you watch that series, you're going to see guys that every time an obstacle came up, when they got on the other side of it, and they always got on the other side of it, they came out on the other side better. Wasn't easy, wasn't quick, but they always come out on the other side, and they always came out better. Obstacles are what makes you tough, but you've got to be that guy. Okay? Study. If you're going to build wealth, building wealth is not easy. You've got to study. Study. Remember, Think and Grow Rich. It's going to cost you a lot of time. Now today, and one of these days, I'm going to have a lesson on the cell phones that we have today. Just if somebody has a desire, they could take their cell phone and literally become wealthy just because of the cell phone, just the power that thing has. It's amazing. But also, if you're wanting to set goals and accomplish those goals, achieve those goals, those cell phones are very important. You can look up so many people that have gone on before you and done some of the same things you're wanting to do. And they can give you advice. Learn from those who have gone before. So study, study, study. Now, after you achieve your goals, maybe you say, well, I want to write a book, or I want to own real estate. Whatever your goal is, doesn't matter. Whatever that goal is, when you get to that goal, don't quit. A matter of fact, don't even let up. Don't let up, ever. Now, you may want to change how you operate. That's very important, because the things that I do now I pretty much just buy and sell real estate. But when I started, I was doing all the fixing, the cleaning, the painting, the calling the insurance company, the banks, the tax guy. I was doing it all. Now, I had a lot of help from my wife and my daughter, but nonetheless, we were doing it. So once you make it, you don't stop. You keep pushing. Now, what's interesting is when you start out and you're this guy and you're doing all the work, nobody wants to be that guy. Nobody wants to be you then. But when you make it down here, everybody wants to be that guy. Once you make it, once you achieve your goals, once you write that book and millions of people are reading your book, or you buy that real estate and you now have a life that you're doing the things you want to do, everybody wants to be that guy. And everybody says, man, you're just lucky. Man, it just comes easy for you. They don't see all those days and all those weekends and all those times that you were spending 20 hours a day to accomplish those goals. Nobody wants to be that guy. Everybody wants to be this guy. Nobody can be this guy without being this guy. And if you do, it's just like all of these that get it without having to do the work. They're going to squander it because they don't understand the value. It's very important. If you want to build wealth, if you want to set goals, if you want to achieve those goals, you have got to be right in here. You've got to be that guy. Now, let me tell you, every single one of you can be that guy. Thanks for watching.